What's going on, Duckers? So recently I've been thinking about, because we were talking about last time, we were talking about people judging you and why you should not let that be a hindrance on what you do, right? And if you haven't watched the previous video, it doesn't really matter. But we were talking about that last time, and now I've been mulling over and remembering this time that I got rejected. And yeah, we're gonna see how old boy Ducky here was laying it down doing the dance, the mating dance. So the story begins. I was in middle school. I think I was in like seventh grade. I forget, but I was in middle school in Indiana. So when I lived in Indiana, we lived in the city in the suburbs, right? But we went to school in the middle of a cornfield, like 10 miles away from anything else. We were literally next to a cornfield. It was crazy. And by crazy, I mean nothing happened ever interesting. So it was kind of just, eh. While I was there, I ended up growing a little bit of a crush, a little bit of a liking to a girl there. And I'm not sure what it was at the time. I just, for whatever reason, was fascinated with her for some reason. And I was feeling myself. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to lay it down. Since I, at the time, was a shy nerd kid who didn't know how to talk to girls, I still do not know how to talk to women. So, maybe then I was a little bit better. But what I ended up doing was I figured out that the only way that she would say yes, and I had concocted this plan that she would say yes after I do this grand gesture. And by the grand gesture, I don't mean I like made a big sign and a big hoopla. No, I ain't doing that. By grand gesture, I gave myself a DIY craft project, right? I just assigned myself some homework, and that's what I ended up making. Essentially, what it was is I figured out on YouTube that if you take soda cans and you cut them in half, where you just get that sheet of aluminum in the center, you will cut yourself if you try this. So, try it at your own risk, but you can take that sheet of aluminum out. And on YouTube, I ended up to make stuff out of these sheets of aluminum that I now had. And what I learned how to do was make these aluminum roses. And it was actually pretty cool because you would cut out each individual petal, wrap it around, and then after that, you'd be able to glue it together and use the bottom of the can, the little base, as kind of like a petal for it. So it looked really cool. And then you could get even more wild with it and paint the things before you put them together. So it was actually a colored set instead of just silver. You could paint it when it was all together, but it was harder to get like gradients and stuff. So after I kid you not, it was at least a week of trial and error. I went through like 12 Dr. Pepper cans. But after a week of trying, many, many cuts, I finally get it down. I finally make one. It's the best one that I've made. It's perfect in my eyes. And I didn't have a container for it, so I just put it in a fucking Amazon box that I had. I don't know where I got it, but I had an Amazon box, and it was that. And I decided that that wasn't enough. No, I needed to up myself even more. I needed to take it to the next level. She would remember me after all. And I went upstairs onto our Chromebooks that we had for school and typed out a legit like letter, poem even. So basically just a fucking 3-page essay with sources cited. And I don't even know what the poem said. It was probably something like I don't even know what I would have concocted. There was nothing. We had talked maybe a few times. There was nothing there. Maybe it was like, oh, I saw you as you grabbed the chocolate milk out the way of the lunch line, and the way that your unkempt hair swayed. I don't fucking know. But I ended up writing some long essay and learned again how to fold it origami like on YouTube. And the shape was, of course, a heart. Naturally, I'm a suave young fellow, right? So I make this entire thing. Walk up to her, and it was a week before a dance. I remember that. A week before a dance, and I ended up just giving it to her after school, mind you, and she opens it up, and this is the moment of truth. The moment we've all been waiting for. I was shitting bricks. I did not want her to say no. I was like, there's no way she could say no. The passion is obviously there. We're gonna get married next week. Like, I'm good. And all I remember is her shaking her head in disapproval and essentially declining and running away. Pretty quick, actually, too. It was kind of weird. It put me off, and I stood there with a stupid smile on my face, obviously just absolutely destroyed inside. I don't I remember that it felt like shit because it literally was a situation of the worst she can say is no, and she didn't even say no. She just said nothing at all, and we never spoke again. So it was like, on one hand, I did try and I did fail, and on the other hand, Jesus, it was a bit weird. Especially the never communicating after part. I mean, we added each other on Instagram years later, and it was just kind of awkward. There was like we never interacted, so yeah. Anyways, it's a story to all of you to say that sometimes being cringe and being all extra to ask somebody out is, not a good idea. Just be upfront, be normal. Don't fucking start building shit for them because who knows? Maybe they just run away and you never speak to them again. So, anyways, Ducky out. Wank.